Madam Secretary, let me start with some questions that I alluded to in my opening, and this as it relates to the NPRA legacy wells. I think that you feel my frustration and my concern. As I mentioned in our conversations earlier, you know, if the federal government was a private operator and had abandoned these wells, as the federal government has, the state would have had an opportunity to levy some fines on that private operator. And our estimates are that it would be about $41 billion in fines. And so I've just been so concerned about what I believe to be a double standard here, because I think we do have an expectation that if you're going to be exploring and producing in an Arctic environment, there is an absolute need to be responsible, to be cautious, to really be careful. And so it just hurts to see what we have left. And so now we get to the part where, okay, it happened. Let's figure out how we're going to clean it up. And I thought that we had agreed that, look, there's got to be a better path forward rather than just telling the state, you figure it out. And so when we met before the Interior Probes hearing last month, I thought we had a pretty good discussion on how we might work together to find a path forward that didn't require the state to pay for these federal well remediation efforts. And since that time, I've had constituents come back to me who have had meetings, not only with you, but those in your department, and they have effectively told me that they believe that the department and that you actually support and agree with the proposal that was put out again before you took the position as secretary. And those decisions that were made before you came, you're now kind of stuck to deal with them, to sell with them. But I guess the question that I would have of you this morning, and I had submitted the letter from Mayor Brower for the record that outlines their concerns about that, is it your opinion that the state of Alaska should be held financially responsible for the federal government's responsibility to remediate these wells?
Turn this on. I completely agree that the legacy wells are a problem that we need to solve. They were drilled by the USGS and the Navy years ago to assess the potential of the National Petroleum Reserve in Alaska. And it's one of the reasons we have a sense of the resource potential there, and of course modern techniques have been used as well. They do need to be cleaned up. I'm pleased that the BLM has done an assessment and has shared with the state a priority list of where they would go first so that we deal with the worst offenders first. We do need money to be able to do that. And, you know, I would like to think that as the resource was assessed in part through the use of these wells, that the revenue from the resource, state and federal, be used to help in the cleanup. I think that it is a revenue generator. It puts oil in the pipeline. But we need to work on figuring out how to pay for it, because right now there isn't sufficient money.
I would agree that we have some very difficult budget limitations. We all know that. But I have a very difficult time suggesting that those revenues that would go to the state, that in turn go to the residents of the North Slope Borough, and again, I will refer you to the mayor's letter and the commissioner's letter, that somehow or other you think that it is right to take those revenues that would go to those residents for no value that they have gained from the exploration of these wells some 30, 40 years ago. All that's left is an eyesore and a level of contamination. I want to work with you on a path, but if that path is going to mean that monies that would be going to the state of Alaska and the residents of the North Slope are going to be choked back, that's not appropriate. So I'm hoping to hear you say that you're willing to work with us to find a better path forward.
I'm absolutely willing to work with you and to find the money that we need to remediate the legacy wells, and certainly committed to doing that. And any creative suggestions you have on how we can fund that, I'd be all ears.
Well, let's work on this. We do need to be creative, but being creative does not mean that we assess the state for the cost of the cleanup that the federal government is responsible for.